Buildings Committee comes to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Washington,
Present.
Mr. Kinzinger,
Present.
Mr. Hess,
Present.
Mr. Tholen, Ms. Polk, Mr. Snipes, Ms. Peters,
Present.
Mr. Zenz, Ms. Haas,
Present.
Mr. Carrico,
Present.
Mr. Eckhoff,
Present.
Mr. Featherling,
Present.
Mr. Smith,
Present.
Mr. Dunnell, Mr. Long,
Present.
Mr. Wheeler,
Present.
Mr. Seroy.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Is there any public comment? Don't see any slips or anything. Any public comment? We have none. We need approval of the minutes for November 14th. A motion to approve in second voice. And Mrs. Peters. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, same sign. The ayes have it. Highway with Mark Rogers.
Okay, good morning. We do have a letting this morning. This is for section 20-00000-00-GM. I need a motion to open the bids.
Need a motion to open the bids. Bones. Mr. Smith. Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, same sign.
Okay, this section that we're letting today, for those that are new to the committee, this is for our annual aggregate letting. This is for prices from quarries so that we can do our maintenance work in the summer and get the lowest on-road cost. We add a differential per mile to whatever their bid is, and we make a map and we find the lowest on-road cost to get our stone. So we accept all these bids today, and then, like I said, we just make the map and get it from the lowest on-road cost. So the first one I have today is from VCN Prairie Aggregates, the Mantino Quarry. The unit price from Prairie Mantino for the aggregate surface course type B is $7.15 per ton. And the unit price per ton for the seal coat aggregate CA16 is $13 per ton. Next is Vulcan Materials Company, the Lehigh Quarry. The unit cost for aggregate surface course type B is $9.25 per ton. And for the CA16 is $14.75 per ton. And finally, Vulcan at Mantino. Unit price is $6.85 per ton. And for the road mix, the aggregate surface type B, and for the CA16s is $13.15 per ton. That's it.
Okay. Motion to accept the lowest bid.
The on-road cost.
Okay.
The on-road cost.
The lowest on-road cost. Okay. Mr. Smith, and Mr. Okay. Voice vote.
No, we're spending.
We're spending money. Oh. Yes, sir.
Could you state for the record the amounts and bids you're going to?
It's an on-road cost. We don't have specific quantities, so it's just the unit cost. And so what we do is we take, like for instance, we'll take that $7.15 from Mantino and we'll add a per mile incremental cost.
To get there, okay.
Okay, and then we'll do the same thing for all the other ones, and we'll find out which county, where in our county highway system is the lowest on-road cost from these unit costs.
Okay. Well, what if you wanted $1 million aggregate? Is it the same
No,
price
no,
as buying one?
we purchase it when we want to.
That's what I mean. What if you need 1 million yards? Is it the same price?
Yeah,
A ton? Is it the same price as if you buy one?
yes, yes,
That doesn't make any sense.
yeah,
They got a lot of rock.
yeah, that's the way it works.
Okay, they got the rock and we don't, right?
You're right.
Okay.
They don't buy that much, 200 ton, 1,000 ton.
Yeah, but
Roll call
it
vote.
make a difference.
And Ms. Featherly, the only reason that we have to have a letting is because we spend over $30,000 on the stone.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Washington,
Aye.
Mr. Kinzinger,
Aye.
Mr. Hess, Ms. Peters, Ms. Haas, Mr. Carrico, Mr. Eckhoff, Mr. Featherling,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, Mr. Long, Mr. Wheeler, motion carries.
I have, looks like 3 pay estimates this morning. The first one is for our county general maintenance for 2019, payable to Kankakee Valley Construction. This is for coal mix picked up at their plant for our use, and that amount is $1,323.60. Next is for our county general maintenance for 2019, payable to Vulcan Materials. This is for road mix picked up at the quarry with our trucks, and that amount is $125.55. And last is for section 16-00243-02-RS. This is payable to the treasurer of the state of Illinois. This is for the County Highway 9 overlay from Route 50 to Route 1. And this isn't the full amount. It's a progressive payment. We pay 20%, so that amount is $377,402.62.
Motion. Bones gives the motion, and Mrs. Polk, second. Roll call vote.
Mr. Washington,
Aye.
Mr. Kinzinger, Mr. Hess, Ms. Polk, Ms. Peters, Ms. Haas, Mr. Carrico, Mr. Eckhoff, Mr. Featherling,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, Mr. Long, Mr. Wheeler, motion carries.
See, we have no resolutions.
No, I have no resolutions this morning.
Okay. That'll be it.
Okay.
We'll have Wes Andrews.
I'd just like to wish everybody Merry Christmas and thank you for your support this year.
Yeah, we got his check.
All right, good morning.
Morning.
I'm not gonna be that quick. Warn you now. You've been warned. First item on the agenda is a facility dude report for the month of for last month. 169 work orders. So again, that's pretty typical. We'll move on to the financial report. You've got 2 of them there in front of you. We'll deal first with the monthly expenses, which is this sheet here. You can see previous year, this month, we ran 22,942.39. This month, 17,729.54. So pretty lean month from the expense perspective. A lot, I'll point out, On under courthouse, you'll see 4,965.74 there. 3,653 of that number was for a new fire panel. The fire panel went out at the courthouse. That was about a month ago now. We had Johnson Controls come out. They tested it. I actually had my guys try to troubleshoot it. I had a local vendor try to troubleshoot it, and it came back that the panel needed to be replaced. I know you're probably going to ask how old it was, and off the top of my head, I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look at that. It was considerably old though. So that was the lion's share of the expense under the courthouse, if you follow that line item on down there. Another considerable expense, we spent about $1,200 on batteries. We've talked a lot at this committee over the years about preventative maintenance and what we do and what we don't do. Well, there's an example. We went ahead and I believe all the batteries were over 5 years old in our generators. So we went through and we replaced all the batteries in our generators at the various buildings. And we did that in-house. So the only expense we had was for the actual material. So of the 17,000, I've outlined about, I don't know, what is that, about $5,000 worth of expenses. So if there's any other questions on this, I can try to figure it out.
Bones.
The new panel put in, is that the new style digital one, or is it still the old style?
Yeah, it's a new one. Yep. All right, moving on to the year-to-date numbers, which is this one right here. You can see last year, fiscal 18, 843,451. This year we ended up 841, 865. Couple things here that we can discuss. The largest discrepancy on this one is going to be under maintenance contracts, 56,200. You'll see last year we were at 81,330. We were budgeted 97,850, so we were well under. This year we are well over, and I just got this report the other day, so I've been going through it trying to see where I was off, and best I can tell is, well, I found a few things, like our Facility Dude software. That's $3,700 a year for our Facility Dude, and that was charged in both years, because I just had one come through the end of this year and it was coded to this year when it should be coded to next year. The other thing that I found a lot of, in years past, there'd been as many as 30 invoices go to different funds, the tort fund, the capital fund, and I haven't been doing that. All of my expenses, I go through, the general fund. So I need to probably figure out, sit down with maybe the chairman or someone else to go through and figure out, what funds I can put my expenses through, because I've been putting them all through the same one. So a large one, our Johnson Controls building automation system out at Jerome Combs, that has gone through the capital fund in years past. So I need to figure out, which funds I need to be putting these expenses into, so we get an accurate depiction from year to year, if that makes sense. So if you take that one out of that 120 number, you're down pretty close to where I should be. So that's most of it right there as I continue to look through it. So any other questions on this? All right, if there's no other questions on that, I've got Tony from General Energy. If you want to, he's got some copies here. Yeah, you can just pass them out. So I've been working with Tony on LED lighting upgrades. Now, if you recall, some of you have been on the committee a while. This is something that even my predecessor had started. Brian had worked with ComEd on an LED lighting upgrade. I've been working with ComEd on an LED lighting upgrade. It's something that, we're well behind a lot of the other, buildings in the area, across the United States. I think it makes a lot of sense to do the upgrade. So I've asked Tony to come here and kind of discuss it with you. I met with him several weeks ago. And the gist of it is General Energy would be the contractor that would perform the work. They would provide the materials and the labor to do the LED upgrades. And then Tony and his group, General Energy, are working with Constellation Energy, which is the actual power provider. So between the two of them, they have a proposal here for us, and I think it makes a lot of sense. So I'm excited to have him present this to you and hopefully get some good discussion and feedback. So, Tony, with that, the floor is yours. You there or there? Where do you want him? Right here, sir.
Go. Yeah.
You need one? Oh, he's got
Oh, it's extra?
Oh, you got an extra one?
No, he's got one.
Do you have one?
All right, fire away.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So my name is Tony Jaswell. I work for General Energy Corporation. Just to give you a little quick background. So we're an engineering firm. We've been serving our customers since 1985 in Illinois. Our customers are high energy users, so municipalities, counties, even a lot of manufacturing plants, facilities. When we go into a facility to our customer, we identify opportunities for energy efficiency to help them reduce energy costs. And so what we did here for all the buildings for you, our team went around, we counted all the lights that you have. Right now, all the lights you have are they're inefficient. Some of them, the T12s, which are not even manufactured anymore. You have some of the T12s here. Most of them are T8s. T8s are also pretty inefficient. So for example, in here you have 4-lamp T8 fixtures. So these consume up to 120 watts per fixture. And what we're proposing is to convert these to LED fixtures that would only consume 40 watts. So going down from 120 watts down to 40 watts, it's a big reduce in wattage. And then besides the energy savings, you would also have maintenance savings. The existing fixtures you have are only rated for up to 25,000 hours. The LEDs that we're proposing are rated up to 100,000 hours. So there's some maintenance savings that we took into account as well. So I'll review the numbers quickly and to show you, what those are. And then, since we're a partner with ComEd, ComEd's offering rebates for these types of upgrades. Right now, LED lighting costs have come down a lot. It's come down about 30% within the last couple of years. So more and more customers are converting, their facilities to LEDs. And right now the rebates are available, but the rebates are also coming down as well, just because customers are doing it regardless of the rebates. So I think next year in 2020, there's a good amount of rebates still available, but it's gonna go down to substantially after that, since the costs have been coming down. So I'll review what those numbers are, what the rebates are. And then, as Wes mentioned, we also work with Constellation Energy, who's owned by Exelon. They're a sister company for ComEd, and they have a program where they would fund projects, energy efficiency projects, on your electric bill without paying upfront capital. So, basically you would pay for the project on your electric bill, separate line item based off of the energy savings. So the concept is that the energy savings would offset the monthly project cost. So you would be cash flow neutral over a period of time. Constellation, only the maximum they can go out is 7 years. So what we put together for you is a 7-year term proposal, and then that's something else that we can review. So if you take a look at the first page here, this one, so this lists all the fixtures that you have in all the buildings. So it lists the location of the fixture, the type of fixture, the quantity, and then the existing wattage of each fixture. So, you know, our team went around and counted each and every fixture. There's a total of, if you go all the way to the last page, there's a total of 4,494 fixtures. So it's a lot of fixtures, but that's also going to provide a lot of savings as well. And based off of what we're providing for you, yeah, so that's only on that building here. So this is just for this row, but total it's at 45.
Yeah, 4,500. Okay.
Yep. So the LED fixtures that we're proposing, they have a 10-year warranty on them. They're manufactured by an American company. They've been in business longer than their warranty as well. I provided the specs over, and I think Wes, you've taken a look at that.
Yeah.
And they're good, reliable fixtures. And we've done recently, earlier this year, Adams County converted the whole. I think there's about 6-7 buildings there to LEDs through the same program as well. Worked out great for them. And based off of what we've counted, if you take a look at this chart here, the executive summary. So this gives a summary of all the savings that is involved. So the annual electric savings would be about 1.1 million kilowatt hours. So the way that was calculated is when our team went around and counted all your lights, we figured out what the existing wattage is, how often these lights are on, and then we did the same thing for our proposed fixture. So going back to here, this is consuming 120 watts. We're going with a 40-watt fixture. You convert that into kilowatt hours, taking into account how often they're on. So we did that for all the 4,500 fixtures. So the annual electric savings is 1.1 million kilowatt hours. So based off of the rate you pay for electricity, it's about 0.095 cents per kilowatt hour. So that would account for 105,000 in energy savings. So that's annual. And since these fixtures will last more than 10 years, the warranty itself is 10 years. That's a good amount of lifetime savings of the LEDs, and this is why a lot of customers are slowly converting everything over to LEDs themselves. And then the maintenance savings we taken into account. So that's just basically the cost avoidance of not replacing the fixtures as often, right? So the existing fixtures are replaced every 25,000 hours. Some years you'll have more maintenance savings than other years. So this has been prorated. And obviously the new LEDs, your new LEDs will have that 10-year warranty, so you won't have any cost for replacement for at least 10 years. But based off of your hours, it would last more than that. So that's $16,800 in annual maintenance savings. So if you take the maintenance savings and then you add the energy saving, so total cost savings is $121,927. There's a ComEd incentive from the utility of $45,000, and that's just the way that's calculated is they pay 40 cents per watt reduced. So every fixture that's included in the proposal, that's calculated based off of that, what the wattage reduction is from your existing versus proposed. And then the total project cost is $971,000. So this is the amount that would be basically funded on your electric bill. And then the next proposal, I'll review how that impacts your budget and how that would be figured out. And so the cost includes material. We are vendor, the vendor that we use is NCPA approved. So the pricing has been pre-approved by the state. So some of the counties don't have to go through the bidding process for it, since the pricing is already pre-approved. And then the installation is included. We have to recycle the existing fixtures. And then we'll provide you with recycling certificates stating that everything was properly disposed of, because the existing tubes do contain mercury as well, so they have to be properly recycled. And then obviously disposal, and then any kind of lifts we need is all included. So basically it's full turnkey project. And
You mentioned
yeah.
T. What does T stand for?
So that's the term of the type of tube it is. T8 is it's the size of the tube itself. The T12 is thicker. I think it's the actual diameter of the tube. That's your question.
I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. During that 10 years, I understand that they said we have a 10-year warranty. However, it's almost as if you're implying, or if I'm hearing, that the labor is also included in that 10-year warranty?
Yeah, so labor is only 1 year. So for example, within the first year, if the LED fails, our electrician will come out and replace the fixture itself. Usually most of the failures will happen within the first few months. On average, these fixtures have about a 1% failure rate. But after the first year, if it's a failure, we would ship out the fixture. But then, your maintenance team would basically be the ones to replace that fixture itself. So it's a good question.
Mr. Smith.
The utility inside, is that a one-time thing?
Yes.
Or is that prorated?
That's a one-time. The incentive is a one-time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is for Wes. When you guys met to talk about this stuff, did I see courthouses in here? Did we look at those historic courtrooms, whether we could actually do anything with the lights in there? Did you have that conversation? Because I don't want to get afoul of the Historic Preservation Commission.
Oh, no.
No, I when we walk through there, these are all the lay-in fixtures. We weren't touching any of the wall sconces or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have done something similar in many buildings that we have throughout Kankakee County. And I'm a very simple kind of guy. So after this
We didn't
presentation,
know that.
after this presentation, what's the net cost or net savings per month to the county?
Yeah, so that's actually the next
Okay, I'll
thing we'll review, and then we can discuss that. Yes.
I have a question. If that fixture above me here has, how, I don't know how many years it's been there. I don't know when they changed them. But doesn't it have like 4 or 5 years left in its life before you have to change the bulbs in it again?
It all varies, but I mean, most of the stuff that we have, this one isn't on very often, obviously, but out at Jerome Combs, where we've got fixtures that are on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yeah, I mean, we're burning through lights pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, what's the purpose in throwing away something that's working perfectly good? What do you save if you spend money to replace it? Where are you saving? Because I have tons of these in my garage, and
What's
I
that?
looked at
These here?
No, I have fixtures like this,
Okay.
office building type fixtures, and I look at changing them over to LEDs, and it'd take me 20 years to get my money back if I switch them over to LEDs.
Well, what we're going to show you here is that the money spent is, first off, it's going to be a budget neutral line item, so we're not going to be spending any more, very little more what we're paying right now, and everything's going to be paid off in a period of 7 years. So after 7 years, we're going to be saving $100,000 a year.
But are you saving if you're throwing away a fixture that's still got $5,000 worth of life left in it?
We're saving the energy on it, so if it's still there, it's still functional. Right now it's consuming 120 watts. Over the period of time, the cost of it will pay off with the energy savings if you do it now, and especially with these incentives that ComEd is offering.
Well, I thought we had talked about Wes's guys changing a few as we go, here and there, the ones that are on all the time, you can figure out which ones are on all the time. Now you're talking about changing the fixtures. You can buy conversion kits for the one we have now.
Yeah, so the problem with doing it over a period of time is, there's no incentives available to do it that way. There's a $45,000 incentive available, and then obviously every time you wait, there's $100,000 in energy savings, so that's $10,000 a month that you're missing out on, replacing them one at a time.
Okay, well, you had said that there's a 10-year warranty on the fixture.
Right.
Is that on the bulbs too, or just the fixture?
So that's everything, the whole every component of the fixture.
Okay,
has a
so
10-year warranty.
you're saying that you said 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So you basically divide your lifetime in half, and then you give a warranty for half of the amount. So in 10 years or 15 years, are all the bulbs going to go out at the same time?
No, so the actual fixtures are rated for up to 120,000 hours. And then your hours, depending on which area it is about 4,500 to 6,000 hours annually. So it's gonna last you more than that. So it could be, depending on the hours, 15 years to 20 years. Like in areas that are not used as often, that could last up to 20 years based off of the hours that you're using.
I know it depends on how long they're on. It just, I don't know where the savings is to throw away something that's working perfectly fine right now, except it costs more money to use.
Well, at some point, the energy efficiency is worth something, but just to switch an LED light as they go out, that seems to me like that would be clumsy and inefficient
Well, what I meant was, like, if you go in a courthouse where the lights are on all day long and they never turn off, that would be a place to start to me. In the jail where you got the hallways and all the lights are on all the time,
Right.
Yeah, start there. But why should you do anything with these?
But that's something.
You might only come in here next year and change 2 bulbs.
Yeah, that's something we'll have to discuss. Is it worth the energy savings and the efficiency to do it? So that's something we can certainly discuss.
Yeah, but you're talking nickels and dimes, not dollars and cents. Not dollars.
I get it.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. Wes, so the light bulbs and everything are included in the 10-year warranty. That's why I've never seen an LED fixture, so I've still got these old lights hanging, just like Mr. Featherling. So the light bulbs and everything are included in that purchase price.
Right.
What would a new LED light bulb cost if we tried to go buy one at the store today?
So it's a bulb or actual fixture? So
Well, like just the bulb, and I'm going to compare it to the T8 or the T12, or what would that bulb cost us?
So compared to existing T8, it's about twice as much, but the energy savings are
Over the long
3
term.
times longer.
Right,
Yeah.
and I've got some LED lights that we use on automobiles that last longer than the incandescent bulb, so I see the savings
Right.
going on and the maintenance cost on that. So I agree with you on that part. But my next question is, when would you be able to do the work in a public building? How would you schedule that part to not interrupt our service?
Oh, it's going to be clumsy. I mean, especially at the jail. We've talked about that, figuring out how how we schedule it. They'd have to have an escort. They can't just walk freely around the building. So, and that's true for all the buildings. So they understand and are aware of the issues and, the scheduling issues, and that's all been discussed. So
All right.
we'd have to figure out a game plan to get all that done.
And then when could he start doing that part?
So the lead time on the material is about 6 weeks. So after we have the material here, we could start soon after. But as Wes mentioned, we'll have to do a lot of coordination with our project management team on which areas we can do at what time. But there's a lot of areas here that I think our team could be pretty busy the entire time.
So March is, I'm just trying, spring time is probably.
Yeah, like March, right?
If everybody's, do we want him to finish the presentation and then we can?
Before he gets into cost.
Okay. One more back there.
Bones.
Thank you, Chairman. Tony, you might explain to him the cost difference between converting this fixture here to LED with changing out the bulbs, the tubes, the ballast, everything like that, compared to the new fixture.
Sure.
I don't think, for some of you that don't know, there's actually not a bulb in an LED fixture.
Right.
It's a
Right.
panel that goes in on the side.
Right. So in the future, so right now you have a ballast inside the existing fixtures. The ballast is rated up to 15,000, 20,000 hours. You have the tubes, individual tubes. There's 4 tubes in here. The cost of that is, $2-3 per tube. That's rated for 25,000 hours. The ballast itself is about $14-15. And then, so this is going to be replaced with an LED fixture. That's about $60 for the material itself. But in the future, you don't have to worry about replacing the ballast. You don't have to worry about the tubes, especially for the warranty period. But as we mentioned, it's gonna last, longer than that. It's rated up to 120,000 hours. So those are the benefits.
Just something occurs to me. I try to look at worst case scenario. To me, this pays for itself. To me, it's a financial no-brainer to me to change everything. What happens if tornado takes out this building? We have to move out because there's asbestos and mold or something. I'm just saying that's worst case. What happens to these types of agreements if we're not in this building?
In terms of with Constellation for the payments?
Yeah, does it go to another owner or what? I mean, is it something that we have to have another liability policy backup to cover? You see my point?
Yeah.
I mean, if it's being paid for over time and we're not here for whatever reason.
Right. No, that's a good question. So there is a clause in there that you could pay this up front or it could be transferred to the new owner as well. So if the building gets sold, it could be transferred over to a new owner. It does provide value, so the cost, the value of the building will go up just because you have more efficient lighting, meaning your electric bills are a lot lower than a building that's inefficient.
Sure.
But that's something that would be taken care of. Would have to pay it in advance if that were to happen.
Okay. So that liability would go to a new owner. If there isn't a new owner, then it falls to the county.
Right.
But that would probably be covered, I imagine, under our liability insurance as well. So we'll check all that out if the committee chooses to move this forward.
Sure.
You want to finish that?
Yeah, so this page here, if you go over to the second page, so this gives you a breakdown of how it's going to affect your budget. So right now, you're spending $43,000 a month on electricity. So that's all the buildings that we had surveyed for you. And after you have signed the agreement, your electric budget is going to go down. So that's the second column to $34,272. So that's taking into account the energy savings, right? The 10,000 or around the 9,000 that we talked about. And then Constellation is going to charge a $11,995 fee on your electric bill. So that's a separate line item. So that's what you'll pay monthly. And then you'll see the maintenance savings. That's $2,248. So that's also a drop in your budget. And then so the total monthly budget, your new budget during the 5 years. So you're signing a 5-year agreement with seven-year agreement with Constellation to pay for this project. So during those 7 years, while you're paying, you're gonna be negative $986 out of pocket. So that's the on top of all the energy savings. So that's how much you would actually pay. That's negative on your budget. So that's for 7 years. And then after your project has been paid off, then obviously you're not paying for anything. Then it's just the energy savings. And at that time, you're gonna save $11,000 monthly on your budget. So that's after the 7 years is over. So yeah.
7 years that we're talking about financing, is that a zero-based financing, or is there some type of interest?
So it's Exelon's capital. They have some program fees involved, but it's just a program that they have to encourage customers and public facilities to do these types of projects. So it's not really, they're not a bank, so there's no interest rate involved. There's no debt. It's just an obligation to pay, just like you pay your electric bill.
Yeah, if you divide that number out, there's no interest on that. $12, I think.
No, nine.
Oh. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like I said, we've done this in several buildings. We have never paid extra to have the work done. We're adding $1,000 and would like to ask, have we had another look at this? Because this type of thing can be done, but never have I wrote a check out every month in addition to my energy costs for this type of service. And we've done probably 7 buildings.
This is the only one that I have right now.
I would recommend that because of that we look at another one unless we can negotiate with these people in terms of doing it properly.
Well, I talked to Tony and I said the only way that I would consider this is that we get as close to budget neutral as humanly possible.
Yeah, and we're not there yet.
Right,
We're not there.
But this is,
Yes.
you know,
Thank you.
this number has been tweaked, if you know what I mean. So
Well, maybe they started too high.
Well, you know, to add on that, so the reason, you know, when you upgraded the 7 buildings you talked about, you probably did the retrofit, so it's just replacing the
That's
tubes.
true. That's true.
Yeah,
We did
replacing the-
retrofitting on all of them to go to LED
Right.
fixtures, but it was retrofit.
So in that case, if we do a retrofit here, that would definitely reduce the cost, but the retrofit has, it's only rated for 50,000 hours. And the warranty on it, you know, you probably saw it's usually 5 years, 5 to 7 years. So what we went in here, we're proposing a more of a long-term solution. It's a whole new fixture that's rated for up to 100,000 hours. But the retrofit, it's a lower cost, but then, you know, obviously for that lower cost, you're getting a lower quality product.
But as was pointed out by my constituent here, just like these lights aren't on very often. It's 7 years paying for you and a 10-year warranty. We're close to revenue neutral
Right.
because we're going to replace it. So I don't see this as a no-brainer good proposal. I think that we need to either look at combinations of retrofitting certain areas, the jail, new fixtures, but we got to get this cost down.
Sure. Oh, that's a good point.
Mr. Chairman?
10.
How long is it gonna take to perform this work?
So we've estimated, especially because of the coordination that's involved in jail, this could take up to 3.5 months. Just the installation, the lead time on the material, as I mentioned, is about 6 weeks. So up to 4.5 months.
So how many people would you put on this project?
So it would be closer to 6 to 8 guys.
So 68 guys?
6 to 8.
6 to 8, okay.
Yeah. Usually it takes about 15 minutes per fixture
Okay.
to replace it, but then there's also involvement in removing the tubes and properly disposing that, so that adds a little bit more time. So about 20 minutes per fixture it takes to replace.
Does Mr. Andrews have to supply people to move these desks out of the way so you can get your ladders in here, or do we have that expense added to that too also, Wes?
Yeah, I mean, I would have my maintenance staff available at the buildings to assist with whatever would need to be done. I mean, we wouldn't be handling the fixtures or replacing them or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, it's inevitable that we're going to have a person available to them while they're in the buildings.
Being a contractor all my life, I know that most of the cost of a project is getting to the project, to and from the project. So that's going to be covered by us then? So that's not included in this total amount that it's gonna cost to change either.
What cost is that? Just the maintenance staff being available around the buildings?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you want to look at it that way, that's...
If you're having them here, you're taking them from somewhere else.
Well, no, I would have my staff here in the building, you know, that's already here with them. I mean, no different than when I have a contractor come out and service the, you know, an HVAC unit or anything. I've got a guy that's, you know,
Yeah, but that's a one-time, one guy, one project type
while we're
thing.
here, so...
So it's not 9,000 fixtures or whatever we got here.
A lot of it is going to be coordinated, so, you know, once a week, we put together a schedule, sit down with the team here and see what areas we can go through and knock down. So that time is going to be involved in getting to those areas, especially the jail. But that's part of the meetings that we'll need to do at least once a week, coordination wise.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Snipes.
I think we kind of belabored the issue. I probably would suggest that you send it to finance, probably with a recommendation to kind of look at it to see if it's financially feasible, and probably at that point they would determine if you probably would need a second bid or not. I think, and I congratulate Wes for taking the leadership and doing what he's doing or whatever, but I'm thinking that the greater issue here is the financial issue, and so therefore to just belabor it, I would recommend that that we just send it on to finance. So I would make the motion that we send it to finance.
Been motioned and seconded by Mr. Eckhoff. Motion by Mr. Snipes that we send it on to finance.
Isn't this the place where we're supposed to decide these things, right here, and we can go to finance and we'll get it done, but it doesn't make any sense to have to bid something out. Get a couple prices to get an idea. We asked Wes to put it together for us, and he did. We've got it here, but there's a lot of other people out here that do this kind of work.
Yeah, and I think what we have to consider too is, while there are a lot of people out here that do the work, and when we can do that, I don't know how many of those other people work. They're going to do the work, and that's great. But the person carrying the load on this is not General Energy; it's Constellation. So what makes this proposal, right now important in my aspect is the fact that Constellation Energy is stepping up to offer us 0% financing for the project. Right. So I would have to see what other vendors are out there, and I can do that. But then I have to see how those other vendors work with maybe Constellation or, the other energy providers out there.
This is in excess of $200 and some a fixture. I recommend that we do look at other proposals. This is a good proposal. I'm not convinced that is the proposal.
You're willing to withdraw your motion?
No, I think that it's still going to go to finance. They're going to ask the same questions. So my thing is that if we vote to send it to finance, I'm sure that they will belabor this and make sure that it will be the best bang for our buck. So I think that it's more intelligent to send it on to finance.
Is that the consensus of the committee?
We've already got a motion and a second, so it'll be the vote.
Is there that consensus of the committee?
I have a question, I guess. So I guess my question is if it's sent to finance, as the motion and the second indicate or suggest or desire, does that mean we're saying the committee agrees that we want to pursue this type of project and then have, as the request is, the bid side of it take over at the finance side of it? Are we separating the two, saying yes, we agree that we want to look at this type of a project and believe that it will save us money in the long run, but want finance committee to handle those bids on the financial aspect of it? Or are we saying, do we want it to come back here for this committee to see those bids?
Yeah.
Okay. And then send the recommendation to finance?
Yes, that's what really.
Well, we can do that as well.
So I think that's where you're going. Does the motion and second amend take that amendment to have it come back here with the bid?
Yeah, to come back here with the bid, but I guess our position was to see, we're looking at trying to save the cost, energy costs. So I believe when we move to finance is going to say, do we have another bid? Do we think this is feasible? They can hammer out that, and if they do that, then whatever they agree to, whatever company, or the fact that this is the economical, feasible thing to do, or are we in a position to have the money to have the talks? And then in the other process, bring it back to us, or whether when it comes to another bid or whatever, then we can recommend that to finance for the bidding process.
Sure. And I guess my last part of that, so does the second okay with that? Have it come back here instead of go to finance, Mr. Chairman? The other thing I will mention that we have now created a situation of unfairness to this bidder, because this is now foiable. And anybody can now take a look at his prices and do exactly what, to go under them by a percentage point. So the committee needs to take that into account when they look at this again.
But wouldn't that be feasible, because they're already on camera and it's already being, taped for the public to see?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's what I'm saying.
So we're at the point where we're going to vote to send it to finance for financial consideration, then bring it back here once the financial done.
No, it's gonna stay here.
It's gonna stay here.
Yeah, the bid will be done through here. If another vendor wants to take, if they can, if this is a preferred vendor, this is Constellation's program. You know, so that's where it has to, and they are working with General Energy to do the work. So if there's another option, just I hope the committee considers, it's really easy to shoot a price when you already know what the other competitor's pricing is.
That's true.
So,
So we'll continue with the motion to send it to finance. We're gonna keep it here.
yeah.
So
To keep
we'll
it here.
Draw the
Right.
motion.
And then, right, but it'll be bidding in finance.
No, the bid will be here.
The bid would be here, excuse me, the consideration would be in finance as to whether we can, we'll have the funding or whatever it is to, would it be economically feasible for us to even kind of like considering what parameters would it be? My thing is just keep the bidding here, so the motion would best be, we'll deal with the bidding here, then send it to finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is it the committee's pleasure to let Wes do the research on that?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a recommend.
Go.
Wes is very capable, and in terms of what Andy said, I think there, even if this is foible and everybody has it, I think there has to be tweaks in this to make it really attractive to the county. And those tweaks are available to Constellation. I'm certain they haven't told us that information. It's a shame that this is out, but as it is, I don't think it's acceptable. So there are changes that can be made, and those can be kept quiet.
Okay. So as we stand here today, we are not voting on the acceptance of this proposal. Is that correct?
No.
I'd like to table it.
That's correct.
Right, we're not voting on the acceptance of this bid or this proposal.
I believe what Mr. Andrews was looking for here was, a direction, I think is where you were going. We had talked about it before. We were talking about like swiping the cards, same thing. So now we have a direction. We know what it's going to be. We know how we can do it. But I think we need to just see what else is out there.
And tweak this one.
And tweak this one.
But we're giving Wes
We want to give him the,
responsibility.
I'd like to make a motion, we give him the
There's a
power.
motion and a
Yeah, there's a
second on the
motion
floor.
on the floor.
Okay.
First,
Yeah.
we
Well, I
have
thought he withdrew it, so.
Ms. Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a question for Wes. When you started this process, are there other vendors out there that you could have talked to? Or is this pretty much the only one doing business? Or you found them because other counties were using them?
Yeah, they've worked in other jail environments. They've worked in other counties. So this was one that I'd chosen, to have them present to you folks. And just so everybody's clear, and I understand, the tweaks and that you may have a point there. From my aspect, though, getting $1 million project for an annual or a monthly cost of under $1,000 a month. That to me made a lot of financial sense. Now, there have been good points raised, and I agree with some of them. So I think we can maybe tweak some things here and there to, maybe really tailor their proposal or any proposal, for exactly what our needs are, maybe based on usage or, how much the light is on or versus off. So I do agree with some of them, but from my standpoint, being in business, there's not a lot of opportunity where somebody's going to extend you $1 million worth of credit for $900 a month, essentially the net effect. So that was the way I was looking at it, just so everybody's clear.
One last question for me. This NCP approved, That's basically the state bid price on all these fixtures, so.
Right.
Just to let people know that price level is agreed on.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's correct. So, going back to the $200 per fixture, so we're proposing all new fixtures, like we mentioned, but I think there's a good point mentioned that some of them in some areas could possibly be retrofits, especially areas that the lights are not on as often. So that's a good point, but that $200 includes, material, labor, recycling, it's prevailing wage, as it was mentioned, the pricing is pre-approved, for that amount.
You can always buy the fixture cheaper, it's just you don't have to go out for bids.
So the motion stands, but, and my purpose of the motion was, I don't want to get through this process, 2 or 3 of them, whatever it is, and come in and the county says, we can't afford it. Or we're not in a position. I know we're coming out of things, but I would kind of like to have their thinking, and if they give me a green light, all the bidding in the world can happen and the whole 9 yards. But I want them to be on board early in the process so that we'll have some idea as to when they look at the numbers are feasible, and it gives us some type of guideline as to, when the bids and stuff come through, they can bid and we can take the most responsible bid in the whole 9 yards. I think it's set out so we kind of got one bid already in the process. It'll give them something to look at to see, can these numbers work? And that's kind of my thinking of sending it on to the finance, so we'll have some guidelines. So when they do bring the bidding process and stuff back, it's going to ultimately be back in their corner, but we'll have a guideline that, okay, we believe that this should be done because it's an economical savings, but at the same time, we want to make sure that there's a financial green light that's there to do the project.
Well, I think it's safe to say that once we tweak this, there's probably a pretty good chance that it'll probably be better than budget neutral. Isn't that correct? Right. Right. Right.
And then we'll be in the finance.
Bones.
Okay, my only concern is with this whole thing is if we're gonna go out with other bids, how are we gonna be able to compare bids if we're gonna tweak this? You're gonna retrofit some, you're not gonna retrofit them. I mean, you're gonna have to put an RFP out or something that's gonna give you an exact thing, then you're gonna have to go through every detail of that bid to make sure you're bidding apples to apples. You understand where I'm coming from that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I get it.
To me, I think this is a no-brainer myself. I mean, for saving and everything, but it's up to whatever the committee wants.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize for all the talking I'm doing. However, a lot of this stuff happens every day, and there's the public and the proper way to do it. And I'm certain Mr. Andrews knows how to do that so that it's fair and legal. We don't have to advertise this. We have the right to use professionals. And I think that we can handle those issues and save the county some money in the process.
Well, I'm going to continue to work with Tony and Constellation, and I'll see what we can come up with, and I'll report back at next month's meeting. How's that? Fair enough?
So we're gonna put this in abeyance until that time. Is that what we're saying?
I move we table it.
Sorry. Well, there's a motion and a second on the
Let's
floor.
vote.
All right.
Can we refresh that motion, too?
Could
You
you
got somebody to refresh it for me. That we've done.
restate, could you restate, please? I'm sorry.
Now you almost want me to already send the motion. I was going to state that we were send it to finance for the recommendation, just to know where our perimeters are as far. No, we have to. What's the purpose of finance? The purpose of finance is to see, can we do the project? Because if we get all these bids and it's turned down and we say we don't have the money, do you think we have the money? That would be a finance issue, I would think. So how would we want to frame it or do we just want to send it and wait,
But the point is, it's already been exposed to the public the way we're doing it now. So send it to finance doesn't really solve the problem.
But if finance say we can do the project, or you in the right ballpark, or we can't, we gotta stay here, we need to know where we need to be.
Don't you think we need to know that before we send?
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, sir. Because if we, other than that, we just throwing against the wall. He did a lot of work here, and I'm just saying,
That's the
finance.
reason for letting Wes do a little bit more tinkering with it in the process, and then bringing it back to us so that we can make a final decision on it. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Well,
Go ahead.
if I could, to me, that's what the committee here does, is says, yes, this is the project, this is what it's gonna cost, we recommend that we go forward with the project. So to everybody's point, I think, is it seems like we're gonna do some tweaking and come back here, so maybe the motion should be rescinded and let Wes come back with a more polished proposal per the recommendations of the committee.
That's why
Yeah, I
I asked for
rescind
the
it for that
rescission of the
purpose, Jared.
motion in the first place.
Now I can rescind it, then you get the second to rescind it. I think we
So
can.
you
And
both
in the
agree to
meantime-
rescind the motion.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
All right.
In the meantime, I'll check with the state's attorney about the bidding process, because if it already is on the state approved lowest price available type thing, then we're okay with that. I don't wanna run afoul of any type of bidding issues, and I think because just learning this, that they're part of the state price agreement, I don't think we have to go through that.
Right.
We just have to look at, everything that's concerned with the project itself. I don't, as far as Mr. Snipes' point, if it is rescinded, I don't think we can't afford not to save 12 grand or 11 grand a month after this is done. But to Mr. Kinzinger's point, we don't want to spend any more money if we don't have to.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think they understand, I think he understands the concerns of the committee and what our wishes are. So I'll work with you, Tony, over the course of the next month. We'll report back in January what we've come up with, and we'll vet it and go from there.
Okay.
Fair enough?
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Tony. All right.
No, we rescinded the motion, so there is no motion.
They rescind the motion. So there's no motion. I couldn't either.
Building report. All right, I'll be quick.
All the lights went bad.
Here at 189, really, 17,000 in expense. It really was a pretty quiet month, so there's not a whole lot to go over, which should come as a sigh of relief to all of you that are sitting here. So basically here at 189, we've had a lot of not a lot, common things, bleeding air off the boiler system, maintaining the heating system. We've had toilets breaking, faucets, all that normal kind of stuff. At the courthouse, we're working on some wiring issues outside. We've got a light fixture outside the southeast door that's been down. We've been tinkering with it in-house. It's got to a point where I had to call somebody out to deal with the fixture. They're actually here today working on that fixture as well as one other, because when people are leaving at 5 o'clock, it's dark, and it's a concern. So we're on it. We'll give you an ADA update right now. That's on the agenda as well. So can I do that? Can we just do the ADA update? We've been working together with our architect. We've had the courthouse staff involved as well. Judge Albrecht, Judge Kramer. We've got a drawing that has been agreed upon. We've met with the Historical Society. They've agreed with our drawing that we've put together. So with the ramp on the outside, we're going to shave a couple inches off of the building at the southwest corner of the building to give us the correct turning radius. Anytime a ramp changes in direction, you have to have 5 feet. Have to have a 5-foot landing so the user can turn around, go back up, go back down, and we're off by 2 or 3 inches. So we met with them. They green lighted the project, said, go ahead. We understand this is the best case scenario, and they're fine with it. So I'm happy to report that. On the interior, We've met with Judge Albrecht, gone over with her the proposed modifications. It looks like the month of April is when we're going to be doing the work. We're going to bid it. I've been working with Doug Bright on that. I believe we're going to bid it in January. And we're going to have some pre-bid meetings as well. We're trying to establish those dates right now. So it's moving along. It's going to come quick. So we're going to have some front step work involved. I got to get moving on that. We're going to have curbs done. We're going to have the ramp done, the interior of the courtroom done. So going to be a lot of activity at the courthouse over the course of the next several months. So any questions on that?
Thanks, Chairman. Wes, the curbing, is that going to be in the circle
Yes.
in the back? You're not going to take anything out? You're just going to raise the curbs up?
We're going to take the curbs out, new curbs.
Just new? Okay.
Remove and replace.
Yeah.
There was also some things that Chairman Wheeler and I were looking at the other day. There's some walls that are crumbling over there as well. I'm going to add those to the list of things that need to be done. If you haven't been over there in a while, I would encourage everybody to go take a walk around that building. You know, given our financial situation, obviously we've tried to put some things off, but I believe it's time to, you know, make some repairs too. So Andy, I don't know if you have anything you want to add on that.
If I could, the courtroom we're doing is Judge Albrecht's is the courtroom that we're doing. The type of call that she has requires a lot of their jury trials, and they have to do with like you know, like video monitor presentations, you know, that type of litigation, mostly civil type stuff, but it's really involved, whether it's insurance stuff or whatever else, gas pipeline stuff, you know, that kind of thing. So they don't have any power outlets, and so they got cords snaked all over the floor. So we're going to also take the opportunity when we're ripping out the floor in that room and the jury room next door to make them all level. We're going to obviously put new carpet back down. We're going to put some outlets in as well. So
Underneath the floor.
yeah, because it's just, you can't.
We're going to try to.
We're going to try. We don't. Once you get that carpet up, and you may see you have to drill through 17 inches of
Concrete.
100-year-old concrete. You know, so we don't know, but we're really going to try to get that set up a little bit better. They have these wonderful 1972 green jury chairs there, and I don't think we're going to be able to replace those right now, but we might be able to swap some out to have the better ones that just like we have here. You know, this is Art Deco almost.
What you see is what you get, pretty
so
much everywhere.
We're trying to do it, you know, within the budget, but we are going to try. Well, we're going to put new carpet back down, which I expect beyond Mr. Snipes, a lot of the judges to say that they all want new carpet now. Or fight over that courtroom. But it's just so everybody knows, this is a culmination of a lot of work. We took care of the easy stuff for the ADA. People that weren't here may not know that the Attorney General filed suit against us. We had complaints from the public. I talked to Judge Albrecht, and somebody that was in I saw her yesterday, and she said the day after we met, somebody came in and wanted to serve on a jury, and they were at a wheelchair. And she said, see me in about 6 months. And so the person is looking forward to come back. So that's why we're doing this. First of all, to get out of hot water with the AG. They've approved everything we have. Wes has worked hard on this. We all have in the past 3 years. Now we're finally almost to the end of that. And then we have to start taking a look at all of our other buildings.
And we got the money to do it too, which is a blessing. So, all right. So that concludes the ADA update. I'll go through a few other buildings. You know, at the annex in the old jail, you know, really nothing of, you know, substance there. You know, I deal with a lot of the same issues every month, and I just try to call to your attention some of the bigger ones. So it should come to everyone's delight that, you know, really nothing large to discuss at any of those buildings. The old jail, we are going to add an automatic boiler fill valve to regulate the water in the boiler system. It's fairly inexpensive, so we're going to do that just to assist with keeping the proper amount of water in the system, so we keep the proper temperature in the building. Other than that, faucets and sinks type issues there. Jerome Combs, quick update. We've talked at length in the committee about the lightning strike that we had back at the end of September. We had a camera system and the electronic swipe card access of the electronic swipe access for the building. Both were affected. We have been working with the Public Building Commission and the insurance company. We received the total claim for the camera system and the swipe system came to $365,000 worth of damages. So that's something that I'm working on right now with Corrections Department and with Trent Bukowski out there to finalize those repairs for those two building components.
That within that cost of the monies that you receive.
Yes. Working with the sheriff right now and Carrie Laird, we're going to be doing some work out at Animal Control, just so the committee is aware. They have some things that they want to do out there, so that's something that's coming down the pipeline that we'll be working on here soon. So that's really about it. That's really the notable stuff that's been going on at the building. So any questions on that?
I have a question. Is that list of work and pricing coming back here before that work is performed?
Animal Control?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what it is.
Okay. All right. Yeah, let us know, because we don't want to. Obviously, there's a lot to be done there. Structural stuff too that gets expensive, so we just can't do it. We have to look at it as a committee.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you.
Okay. Any old business? Any new business? Motion to adjourn. Other business, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say happy birthday to Patricia Polk. Today is her birthday.
Happy birthday, Pat. Now, motion to adjourn. Bones, Snipes, anybody. All in favor say aye. Same sign, nay. Ayes have it.